What's up, guys? This is Andrew Mil-Spec with Combat Training. In this video, we're going to talk about AK ergonomics. Now, I want to do a couple videos on the myths about AKs, all the misconceptions, all the bullshit that's out there that people say about AKs. So first, we're going to talk about ergonomics. Coming up, I'm going to have videos on accuracy, and if you have an idea for AK myths that we should talk about specifically, comment that below. But yesterday, we actually pushed this gun out to 300 yards on 12 by 18 inch steel. Me and Jeremy from Fight Train, we were both making hits all the way out to 300 with the factory 0 on the rifle. So I'm gonna get some more ammo, test out a couple loads with this rifle, see what groups the best, see what runs the best. You'll see that later. But first, let's talk about ergonomics. See, people are very spoiled with the AR-15 as far as how the ergonomics work, and yeah, a bunch of guns copied it after that. But the truth is that when you look at like the majority of guns that are out there, lots of them have really shitty ergonomics, but people specifically bitch about the AK because it's pinned up against the AR-15. It's not that the AK is not ergonomic, it's just a little bit different, right? And I don't want to ever hear you bitch about AK ergonomics if you like M14s and garbage mini 14s. Like, number one with that, look at the fucking safety. That's just retarded. But anyways, let's talk about that first, the safety on an AK. So the safety on an AK is right here, right? Now, in order to be able to rack the gun or to fire, of course, you have to put the safety down. You just do that, right? Now, it's very simple. Is whenever you're patrolling or you want to be ready to fight, you just keep your finger on the safety like this, and then as soon as there's contact, put it on fire and you can shoot. Now, if you have weak ass fingers or the safety's super stiff, just do it the child soldier way, where you keep your thumb on it like this. Okay, yeah, I have to break my grip and I have to reestablish my grip, but that's not really a big deal. It's just something you have to work with. Now, if you're a lefty, it's also very simple. You just use the thumb on your non-firing hand and you're good. And if you want something a little bit more Gucci, which I don't give a shit about, like, I'm not gonna do it to any of my guns, but Krebs does make a one of the safeties where there's a ledge that comes out right here, so you can more easily do it with your trigger finger and keep your hand on the grip. But again, you don't fucking need that, and not every AK in the world has that. So just run the normal safety, it's fine. And I think there's even solutions for lefties to be able to run it without breaking their grip. But anyways, the safety's fine. If it's so super stiff and ridiculous, all you have to do is pop up the dust cover, rotate the safety to the up position, and then just bend it a little bit. Bend it out just a little bit. There's a bunch of videos on that. Very lightly, very lightly. And you can loosen it up. Now, also, you'll see some shitty AKs will have safeties that are too loose, and sometimes when you pop them up, it'll go past the dust cover. But again, don't buy like shitty IO or M&M guns. There's a lot of shitty AKs out there. Buy a quality one. Usually that means buy a comm block one. I think the PSAs are pretty good to go as far as American made, but if you don't buy a shitty gun, you don't really have that issue. Alright, next, bolt hold open. This is another thing, AR-15 guys, they love to hit the button, hit the bolt release to send the bolt home when they do a reload. Now, I've already covered why I say to rack the gun every time. The simple thing is, it works every time, as far as I see with every gun. You can always find the charging handle if you're picking up a gun that's not your specific gun, and racking it's going to work. And then, you know, having like the bolt go home on an empty chamber and having a stovepipe, all that stuff. But please watch that video to see why I say to rack it every time. Now, again, so for me, it's not an issue with not having a bolt release. And I know there's some weird AK stuff out there where it does have it with like hunting guns or whatever, but in general, that's not a thing on the AK. But the simple thing is, you don't fucking need a bolt release. and you need to be doing tactical reloads anyways. It's not impossible to just rack it, and it's the normal way. And believe me, if it was that much of an issue, I'm pretty sure all the countries that adopted the AK would have ended up changing that to fix it. It's not an issue, it's just a thing that you're overthinking. And again, guys who overthink ergonomics and they have no training, dude, you're worried about something that's this fucking small. Okay, so for bolt hold open, doing reloads, it's very simple. And again, also people worry about the fact that it's hard to get an AK mag. It's not that it's hard, it's just you have to do it correctly. You have to not suck at it. It requires a little bit of practice, but I don't practice this shit that much. I just got this a couple days ago, and I've pretty much done most of my reloads on camera. But come up, bang, 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 click, break the weapon down. Now when I grab the magazine, I grab it with beer can grip, so therefore it's bullets facing away from my body, whereas with an AR-15, I would run my hand down the mag like that. But beer can grip, come up, and I take the bottom of the magazine, hit the magazine release lever right there, insert rock underneath, rack, let it go. Not that hard. I'm gonna do that again. Now, the other thing too is with the bolt hold open, there are mags that allow for bolt hold open. I'm just now starting to try these out. That's like the one that comes with this gun. I'm not sure if I like them or not. I do like the fact that you will feel a difference in the recoil when the gun is empty, because that's the thing with the AR-15 too, is it's not bang, 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 click, it's bang, 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 and you feel the bolt locked to the rear. So you feel the same thing with this magazine, but again, you're just doing tactical reels, it's not a big deal. But I'm just doing it a little bit faster this time. Alright, so bang, 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 and then I feel it locked to the rear. Alright, not a problem. Now, with people inserting the mag and having trouble with it, it's very simple. Again, bring the weapon close to you. Trying to do it out here is awkward and weird, and people generally will fuck it up a lot more. But if you bring the weapon close to you, it's not pointed in the wrong direction. I have a video on why we do weapon up reloads. But if it's right here, I can see what I'm doing, and we have to lock this front tab in. So you bring up the magazine angled like this. Come on, light. Focus. Alright. Then you get it in, lock it in, and push forward. And then at that point, rack it. But it's not a big deal. And also, watch the how to properly load an AR-15 video. I covered a lot of stuff that people fuck up with that. Next, stocks. This one has the brace on it. You can easily put an M4 stock on an AK, and there's also the Magpols and a bunch of other fancy ones that came out. In general, I don't like collapsible stocks. The reason for that is that I have broken a buffer tube and I have broken an M4 stock. On an AR-15, if you break the buffer tube, the gun is broken because the bolt cannot properly cycle into that tube. Therefore, that gun's done. With an AK, you don't need a stock. So the funny thing is, I'd actually rather have an M4 stock on an AK than I would on an M4. But with the fixed stocks that come with AKs, like the size is fine, and the fact that it's a fixed stock is fine too. People are overthinking the ergonomics, and especially you know, like guys who bring the stock out all the way on an AR-15 on an M4 with a, you know, like an M4 stock collapsible stock. Sometimes they don't realize like that actually comes out further than a fixed A2 stock. And then what ends up happening is instead of being squared up to the target, they end up bladed, right? I have to blade myself with the M16A4 clone that I have, simply because you're supposed to have nose to charging handle using a peep sight like that. If you don't have that, you're not going to get as tight of groups. You're not going to shoot as accurately. So, being that the traditional AK stock that will come with the rifle, like the wood stocks, they're a little bit shorter than the A2 stock. That's actually right about the spot that I personally like it as a dude who's about 6'2". So stocks aren't a big deal, and if it's a little bit shorter than you want or a little bit longer, it's not a big deal too. Again, I blade myself with the M16A4 I have, and I don't complain about it. It's just something I have to do. I just adapt to that rifle. It's not that we need to have everything squared up and perfect to us so that we can shave, 1/1,000,000th of a second off of our reload time. That's not a big deal. Just learn to run that gun. If you pick up a gun that's too big or too small, work with it. All right. The other thing too, like I said, you can put on adapters. So this is a Bulgarian AK-74 from Arsenal. Thank you so much, Chase, for giving this to me for my birthday. It makes me super happy with this. But yeah, like I said, that comes out super far right there with an M4 style stock. And this is like some Russian adapter, I believe, that he got. The thing is, you can put that fucking M4 stock on if you want. Not a big deal. And then also the fact that it's a folder is nice because now you can store this in a bag more easily. But enough on that. I don't even like talking about most of the shit. I just want to kind of cover it because there's too many myths. Next, C-clamp grips. I've heard it before where people say, I don't like the AK because I can't use a C-clamp grip. And for those of you who don't know, that's where you're putting your thumb around the entire rail. AR-15s in general, you can always do this, but I don't even do that on an AR-15. I just always put my thumb like this, right? Here it's blocked by the light, but I don't fucking care. It's not a big deal. The way I look at it is the same way I grip a pistol with a thumb forward grip, I also grip the rifle. So I don't C-clamp. I just keep my thumb right here. And we'll talk about grip later. It gives you a little bit more torque having your thumb straight than having it wrapped around, but it's not a fucking big deal. As far as being able to mount stuff, that's another thing when people talk about AK ergonomics or how they're not adaptable or whatever phrase they want to use. Being able to mount stuff. Clearly, you can get AKs where you can mount stuff, and even if you get a stock AK, like I want the M70 with the wood furniture. I want that gun, so please contact me and send me one. And Firearms, if you're watching, hook it up, brother. But even if you get a stock gun, there are options to fix it so you can put stuff on it. And the simplest thing for any AK is just put an Ultimac rail on it. Then you can mount your white light up front and you can mount your dot. Then you have a sling on your rifle. That's all you actually need. All you need on a rifle is iron sights, a light, and a sling in that order. After that, everything else can either be a force multiplier or it's extra weight. But the simple thing is always just put an Ultimac rail on there and you'll be fine. There's also the Midwest Industries gas tube rail, and Midwest Industries in particular has a lot of awesome rails. If you just got one of those rails, you'd be fine. You don't have anything else to worry about. But let's look at it. My phone going off? This is annoying. Alright, sorry about that. Now, here's another thing you can always do, is you get one of these dust covers. I'm not into them because I don't believe you'll ever get a dust cover on here. That's gonna be so tight it'll never lose zero. But I did want to test this one in particular that Chase put on, and then I'm also gonna be testing the rail right here on my dust cover to see how well they maintain zero. But again, a red dot, simplest thing is you mount that bitch right there. But as you can see here, there's rail options, right? If you have this, you can also put your forward grip on it. Now with AKs, they get hotter. Another thing people bitch about, and they say you need gloves to run an AK. You don't really need gloves. There's plenty of people running an AK super hot. And all you have to do is once it gets hot, if you have a foregrip, you can go down on that or just grab the magazine. Now, maybe it will still be a little bit hot. Be a big boy, handle it, you'll be okay. All right, so I think I covered pretty much everything as far as AK ergonomics go. Again, guys, don't overthink it. There's, you know, and I feel like M14s, M1As, you like those and you say that AKs are unergonomic, even though you have to rock in the magazine, the charging handle pulls the same way, and then you have a worse safety because it's literally for new shooters. It's probably a lot less safe to have the safety mechanism inside the trigger than it is off of the trigger. But if you like M14s and you don't like AKs because they're unergonomic, you're wrong. And just work around whatever gun it is. I don't care if it's a G3 FAL or AR or totally fucked up AR with a, you know, some sort of proprietary charging handle and all that nonsense. Just work with the gun, dude. Get trained, of course. That's the most important thing. If you rack the charging handle every time on whatever gun it is, it should work just fine. But don't wrap your minds around that stuff, guys. People are too worried about the little stuff. They're too worried about being able to use this cool stance and being able to do this super fast reload. And I'm going to do another video on AK reloads specifically. I want to cover why the Iraqi reload is retarded. But yeah, guys, don't overthink this shit. Hey, if you want to see more of me shooting this rifle, testing out accuracy and putting it through the paces, I want to do a penetration test on different barriers and stuff. Go ahead and help support this channel. Sign up for classes. Number one, sign your friends up for classes. And also buy the rifle slings. We have green, coyote, a few black left before I have to order more material. We have those colors in stock right now. And please like this video, share, and subscribe, ring my bell, and keep fighting communism.